Hello, hello. It is me, Dr. Catherine Toomer, family medicine and community health physician and founder of Total Weight Care Institute. And welcome to Dr. Toomer Talks. And thank you for joining. And if you're here watching live, please say hello. And if you are watching later, then just say hashtag replay. And so again, I am Dr. Catherine Toomer. I'm just changing my view. And I help people lose weight. I'm really good at it. And I'm not even going to deny that I am. And the reason I'm very good at it is because I helped myself lose over 100 pounds. I have used that same system to help many people lose weight and keep it off. I've kept mine off for 23 years and have continued, with my process. But I help people lose weight, and not just weight in pounds, but weight in whatever in life is weighing them down because they're often connected. And so what happens is I look at the cause of weight gain. Weight is simply a symptom. Everyone has heard me say this many, many, many times. It's just a symptom. And so finding the cause helps in reversing that symptom. And that's why my process is really quite easy. Once you know the cause, it's easy to do something about it. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today were some of the mistakes that I see being made. I've helped hundreds of people lose weight, and often see the same mistakes, particularly this time of year when everyone is sort of jumping into their New Year's resolutions. Now, I know that, whether we like it or not, going into a new year, we simply have this draw to try and make changes, to start something fresh, to start something new. And it's a shame that if you're doing something and you're putting a lot of effort into something, that those things don't matter. They may matter a little bit. You might feel better for a little while, but some of that, just because this is a biopsychosocial process. So the psychosocial part might make you feel good because you're taking charge, but it may not be helping you much biologically. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the 5 mistakes that I see being made often. Hi, George. Thank you for joining. So the number one things that I see is people starting too fast, jumping in too far, and not giving themselves the opportunity to grow into a particular activity. When you push your body beyond what it is capable of, you run the risk of injury. And that defeats the whole purpose of being able to get the results you want. And when I say injury, it's not just physical injury, as in exercise, but also it could be nutritional injury. It could be psychological injury. If you push yourself so far, you bind everything together: your exercise, your change in diet, your change in attitude, your change in activity, and you do all these things and you put them all together. If one falls, they all fall with it. And so it's really important to do things in small increments to meet yourself where you are and to add one thing at a time so that you get really comfortable and really good at something before going on to the next thing. And it's sort of like what I say, it's like boiling a frog. I know it's a little bit gruesome, but when you put a cold-blooded frog into cold water, well, first, if you put it into hot water, it will jump right out. But if you put a frog into cold water and then you slowly increase the temperature in small increments, the frog adjusts to those changes. And so it's able to take the next change and then the next change. So by the time the water is boiling, the frog has gotten accustomed to the temperature of the water. Now, I'm not saying you want to boil yourself in activity. However, you really truly want to do things in small increments so that it gets easy. It stays easy. And then you go to the next one, it stays easy. You go to the next level, it stays easy. The other reason why you don't want to push yourself too far too fast is because it is a stressor to your system. And what that does is it raises your cortisol level, your stress hormone. That stress hormone is actually counterproductive. It is one of those hormones that makes your body make fat. So if you're trying to lose fat, the last thing you want to do is stress your system. So starting low, going slow, meeting yourself exactly where you are. And the other I see because of starting too fast and going too far is dropping calories. Just dropping eating so far down that your metabolism gets suffers, or you start becoming nutritionally compromised. And so you want to eat regular meals, full meals, and complete meals in whatever way you want, but they should be balanced, and they should not be too restrictive. They also shouldn't be too overindulgent, but everything in moderation, your exercise and as well. So and before we go on, I just want to say hello, George, hello, Daphne, and hello, Aunt Cynthia. Thank you for joining. So number two is focusing on cardiovascular exercise. Everyone's like, I'm going to start running, I'm start going to the gym, I'm going to get on the treadmill, I'm going to get on my Peloton, which is good if you are looking to use those activities to improve your mood. They're good for relaxation as long as it's not stressing your system. If you're jumping right into an exercise program that is far beyond your body's capabilities, what happens is, again, your cortisol levels go up, and then that exercise becomes counterintuitive or counterproductive. And because once your cortisol levels go up, your body gets really efficient in making fat out of food, and then your muscles have to compete for that process anyway, so they're not even working efficiently. How many times have you gone to a gym over and over and over again and you just see nothing happening? It's probably because the exercise that's being done is not appropriate for the goal that you're trying to achieve. And so, muscle toning, muscle, 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 muscle. I cannot stress that enough. Muscle is what your body uses besides other hormonal things to maintain your metabolism. It helps you, one, stay strong, it helps your balance, but it helps your body function. And so when you um, exercise by muscle building, you're actually helping in the weight loss process. Focusing on cardiovascular exercise is not going to help you. It should be weighted towards, no pun intended, weighted towards muscle building as opposed to cardiovascular exercise. Now, cardiovascular exercise, I'll talk about that a little bit later when I talk about mood, but it does, if you do low impact cardiovascular exercise, then that is very beneficial for mood and cortisol reduction. The other is if you do biking, you can increase the resistance of the bike. And so you work your thigh muscles, which are your largest muscle group in your body. And so if you work your thigh muscles, that's great. But if you're just trying to get your heart rate up, your body cannot tell the difference when your heart rate's up if you're exercising or if you're being chased by a lion. And that is evolutionarily what we're trying to do, is stay alive. So, muscle over cardiovascular. Um, the third is ignoring underlying causes for your weight gain. I can't tell you how many people have come to me and said, I want you to help me lose weight because I'm pre-diabetic. And I'll say, it's your pre-diabetic diabetes that has made you gain weight. So all you have to do is treat it and that weight goes away. Or um, the cause of their weight gain is because their thyroid is not being well controlled, blood sugars are being dysregulated, or, interestingly, malnutrition. You think that not eating enough makes you lose weight, when actually, if there's certain vitamins that you're missing, they'll actually make your body hold on to weight because your body can't tell the difference between starvation and lack of nutrients. So if your vitamin levels are low, like your vitamin D, your vitamin B, um, vitamin E, if those are all low because you're not eating a balanced, full diet, your body thinks you're starving, even if you're eating enough calories. And so it will take those calories and turn it into fat, holding on to it as best it can because it thinks it needs that fat later for when you're starving later. So making sure you're eating a nice balanced diet is also very important. And so, and also if you are uncontrolled in any of the other processes of your body, blood pressure not controlled, blood sugars not controlled, thyroid not well controlled, All of those things are going to affect your weight gain. And so they have to be addressed, whether before any other process can happen. The fourth mistake I see is people ignoring the impact of mood on their weight loss process. The psychosocial part, either their mood, there's lack of sleep, their stress levels. Those impact weight more than anything else. In fact, stress in and of itself will counter any other activity if it's not addressed. If those activities don't also reduce your stress levels or compound your stress levels, it actually causes weight gain. And so it's a shame if you're doing things to try and improve your health and all it's doing is stressing you more and causing your cortisol levels to go up, either because you're arguing with family because you leave to go to the gym and it becomes a stressor, or because you're not getting enough sleep because you're waking up at 4 a.m. because it's the only time you can exercise. That becomes a stressor. If you are, always worrying about what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat, what you should do with, your cravings, rather than feed them, or you're constantly worrying. Those are all things that will keep your cortisol levels high. And so is counterproductive again. And so it's really important then to try and ease into your process, keep yourself calm, and maintain activities that actually help reduce your cortisol. And improve your mood. If you have anxiety, if you're feeling depressed, if you have ADHD, all of those things can affect what your body does with food, and they have to be addressed, because if they're not, it will fight against you through the whole process. And there's nothing wrong with getting counseling or taking medication if required, because if your point is to be healthy, you have to be healthy on every level. It's not just physical, it's also mental health. It's also social health. And so all of those things are important. And the fifth is what I call the blame game. One of the biggest mistakes I see people making is blaming themselves for not having had the success they wanted before. And mainly because um, a lot of those processes were designed to make you regain your weight. Weight loss is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and most people in this industry, they make more money if you gain your weight back. But what they convince you of is that it's their process that helped you lose the weight, but it's your fault if you gain it back. Any real process should fit so seamlessly into your life that you should not be yo-yoing. And you should not fall off any wagon, because if it's so extreme that you can't do it now and you can't do it when you're 90, then it's not the right process for you. And there's no such thing as a cookie cutter process for every single person. It's different because the causes of weight gain are different for every person. They may be the same biologically, but not at the same level. So if you gain weight and you're exercising and you're eating a certain way and you find that it's just not working for you, or that you can't maintain it, then it's not for you. And what works for one person may not work for another person. So it's very important not to compare yourself to other people as well. And so I'm just reading a few of my notes just to make sure that I don't forget anything. Um, Weight is a symptom. I've said this over and over and over again. Weight is a symptom. And it's really important to understand the biopsychosocial reason for that symptom. And it's important to address every single biological, psychological, and social reason for that symptom. Otherwise, it is almost impossible for that symptom to go away and to stay away. So, again, 5 mistakes. These are the biggest mistakes that I see. These are also, and I'm not eating balanced diet, and understanding that being malnourished, whether even if you're eating a lot, will make you gain weight. Number four, ignoring the importance of mood and other issues, social issues with weight, like sleep, like stress, like um, depression, anxiety, ADHD, all the psychological things that can affect your ability to focus, your ability to care about whether you're successful at this or not, your feeling of anxiety of whether this is working or not, because weight loss is not a sexy process. It can be very slow. And when you do it right, you don't feel it. And so again, if you're looking for something hard, this is not for you. And then number five is the blame game. We have been taught to blame ourselves when we're not successful at weight loss, and then praise other processes as if those processes were the success and we weren't. And so those are the mistakes I see, and they're easily countered as long as you know what your causes are. So, and the thing is, your weight gain may not be to the point where you're overweight. Sometimes it's just body composition changes. You start noticing it's harder for you to make muscle like you did before. Your exercise, your body's not responding the same to exercise. You're going through menopause and you start noticing pounds creeping up, and you're like, I just want to do something before it gets to the point where I'm overweight. All of those things are legitimate. All of those things are important. And if you feel uncomfortable with where you are health wise, doing something about it is fine. No matter what anybody else thinks, no matter whether anyone else thinks you look a certain way or don't look a certain way, because we have internalized so much that it's really, really hard to get beyond the opinions of others to get done what we need to get done. And so, and I say all that to say that these are the things that I help people with. And if you need help in order to feel your best, please send me a message. If you're on YouTube, I check YouTube, I check my messages on Facebook. Now, if you're on DM me questions, you can send me messages with questions. I really don't mind answering them. And so if you send me a message, I can give you a way of contacting me, and I do free consultations, and I will tell you if I can help or not. And if I can't help, I'll find someone who can. And I'll tell you what you can do. Often what I'll do is I'll give you a mini consultation, say, these are the things you should do. And if they don't work, call me in 3 months. Like, work on these for 3 months and then call me. So, all right. So again, I'm just going to go through these one more time for those who've just come in. Number one, starting too fast, going too far, going too fast. Number one. Number two, focusing on cardiovascular exercise rather than muscle, which is really the most important thing for a weight loss process. Number three, ignoring the underlying causes, any medical reasons like thyroid, blood sugars, being pre-diabetic, pre-diabetic. Number four, ignoring the importance of mood and sleep, and those things that affect your process. And number five is blaming yourself when something's not working, instead of finding out the cause and maybe the process isn't right for you. And so finding out a process that does work and giving yourself grace. So again, I do have a question that says, weight training over cardiovascular or balance. So when you do weight training, it helps your balance. You can also find a balance between the two. Now, when you are trying to lose weight, it depends on your goal. So if your goal is to lose weight and the cause of your weight gain is low metabolism, then weight training works best. If your weight gain is from mood or from stress, and cardiovascular exercise helps you with that, then it can be a component. However, usually low impact cardiovascular exercise works the best, like walking, yoga, Pilates, dancing, and that sort of thing. But if you like the social part, for example, of playing pickleball, then that's absolutely fine, because what that does, it's a social thing. But if you're looking for pickleball to help you lose weight, it may not be. You may need something else to do. But that doesn't mean you give up everything. You just, if your purpose and if your goal is to lose weight, then of course there are very specific things that need to happen with you. Now, there is one other that I'll add: the avoidance of medication, not just for weight loss, I mean just across the board. When your body's fighting something, sometimes it needs to reset. Sometimes it needs help to reset. So when you avoid medication when you need it, what that does, it puts strain on your body, and it cannot get to where it needs to go because it's fighting too hard against a process, whether it's blood pressure or blood sugar or mood disorder. Anything that it has to fight against derails your process. So better to, like I say, instead of pushing a boulder up a hill, get a tractor and pull it up. And once it's up there, then you can change how you behave. Then you can change what you do with that boulder. But why keep pushing it up a hill when you don't have to? If your point is to get a boulder up a hill, then do use whatever tools you have at your disposal. I'm a firm believer in that. So, again, I'm Dr. Catherine Toomer, family medicine and community health physician. I'm founder of Total Healthcare Institute. I'm also the creator of many programs for weight loss, and which are very, very effective. And if you need help, simply contact me and I will tell you if I can help. If I can't, I will make sure someone does. And I'll also give you some information that you can take with you, whether you work with me or not. So, good night. Thank you for joining me. And I really appreciate you coming in. And please send me messages if there's topics you'd like to know. Send me questions. I'll be more than happy to answer them. So, all right. Well, you all have a good night, and I will see you next week. Good night.